Hello there, Cynthia here. In this introduction, I'd like to talk to you about the role of choices in writing. Before we talk about writing, let's talk about numbers and how we represent them. After all, numbers are a lot more objective than words, right? If we look at these two graphs, the first one makes our method look a lot more impressive than their method, right? However, when we look at the whole picture and the numbers, 65, 70, 75, we see that the first graph is very misleading. Was the author being objective here? Well, yes, the numbers are there, and they're true. But the choice to represent them this way was probably deliberately made to make a less careful reader believe that our method was way better. Is that objectivity? Now let's look at this classical quartet. It comprises 4 data sets with nearly identical descriptive statistics, the mean, then standard deviation, and the correlation. Someone could look at these stats and conclude that the data sets are equivalent. However, when you plot the graphs, you will see that they are very different. See how the linear regression lines are all the same, but the distribution of the points is totally different and means different things. His message was that stats alone don't tell the whole story. So imagine someone who knows the graphs are different, but chooses to represent only the stats. Why do you think someone would do that? And are they being objective? Are they lying? Alberto Caro took Anscombe's original insight to the next level and had some fun with it. Here, he's also showing us how the same basic statistical data can come from completely different data sets that should be interpreted in very different ways. Here's another example of how people can manipulate apparently objective facts by the choices they make. In this chart, it's clear who has the biggest share of the smartphone market, but who has the second biggest share? If you don't recognize some of these brands, it's because they don't exist anymore. This chart was presented by Steve Jobs in 2008, in the early days of the iPhone. His goal was to emphasize the iPhone's success, especially when it was so new. But here are the real numbers. If you really want to show success to your shareholders, third place isn't bad, but looking like second place is even better. What the Apple designers did was show the chart in perspective, with the green slice at the front, which makes it look bigger than the purple slice, even though the purple slice is actually a little bigger. Again, are they lying? Not really. Are they being objective? Well, if you consider that they gave you the numbers, yes, but the visual manipulation has an ulterior motive and is thus playing with some subjectivity. Here's a much more honest representation of the same data. A bit less impressive for Apple, right? But why am I talking about graphs in a writing course? The word I really want you to remember is choices. How do we make choices in writing? When we communicate, we can think of our message, be it words, numbers, images, or any other form, as a triangle. One vertex is the speaker or writer, or a designer, or whoever's conveying the message. Another vertex is the audience receiving this message. Finally, this all happens in a context, which is the third vertex. This is known as the rhetoric triangle or rhetorical triangle. Let's see how we can use this model. If I ask you, should you write and speak in perfect grammar with very sophisticated vocabulary and always try to be very polite? Imagine I'm at an academic conference. As the speaker, I want to project an image of being well educated. So yes, absolutely. My audience is other academics for whom this is important. In the academic context, precision is important overall, and a good education is valued. which usually correlates with language sophistication. So speaking in perfect grammar with a good range of vocabulary and very politely will contribute to make your audience think of you as a more credible person. What makes this cartoon funny? This highly stereotyped British person is the kind of audience that will only listen to a speaker who speaks very politely, regardless of context. In academic writing, writers use molecules, words, and arrange them in sequences. Other writers will take pieces of those sequences and use them to create other novel sequences that will then be combined and used by other writers, and so on, in a never-ending spiral. Every time sequences are combined, there is a context, and in this context, there are choices to be made to represent a writer to a certain audience. So next time you speak or write, think of what's your goal. To better reach it, what image of yourself should you project? Smart, approachable, friendly, bossy, authoritative, humble? Consider what's expected in your context and how you can better reach your audience. This will all inform what choices you make in writing. That's it for now. Remember the two key concepts, choices and the rhetorical triangle. See you next time.